All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the brand new Binding of Isaac tier list. So yeah, I know I don't have that big of a YouTube audience or anything, but this is gonna be a more up-to-date version of my tier list that I made about like 3, 4 years ago. And that tier list, like, it got a good amount of views, but as the comments and the video itself will show, the quality of that video is very, very bad. So this is my new, more professional, I guess, attempt at making it. Plus, Repentance is out now. I figure there's a lot of changes to the characters as well, so it's good to, create a new tier list, and yeah, I think it'll go pretty well. Let's just get right into it. Um, so yeah, starting off, let's just start simple. We'll do Binding of Isaac himself, the Isaac. Isaac, I still think he could honestly still be considered the best character in the game. Um, Pretty simple, honestly. The moment he gets the D6, he's just completely broken. If you know how to play Isaac and you know how to manipulate item pools to your liking and use rooms specifically for the D6, it is probably the best reusable item in the game, like consistently. It's absolutely crazy. It's like the best utility item in the game. It's hard to beat that. Isaac, but now I don't think Isaac is actually the best character in the game anymore. I actually think there's a new best character in the game, but we're going to get to that when we get to it. But yeah, let's move on. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If you play Isaac enough, you understand why he's at the top. Maggie. Here's another big change about Maggie. In Afterbirth Plus, when I made this, she always started with a speed pill. So she was basically just a more health character. She was really good. Now she starts with a full health pill, which is better for her late game, but bad for her early game. Obviously, a full health pill is still insane, especially if you're running a high health run. It's more fitting for her, I think, but I do think overall it makes her worse, because her low speed, it just makes her hard to dodge attacks, especially early game. So I do think that she's worse than she was in Afterbirth Plus, but she's still obviously really good. Having that extra health to get more devil deals. Yum Heart, if you're running a health run, is still an insane item. So I think we're going to put her in B for now, but I might change it later. We'll see. We shall see. I may have to add a new tier. Let's do that, actually. Add row below. And then we'll just call it Garbo. And then we'll change this to Pog. There we go. All right. So yeah, let's keep going. Ugh, I don't like how it's like a squiggly line above it. We'll just keep it S, whatever. All right. Who's next? I think it's Cain, if I remember my Isaac order correctly. Cain got a huge buff. He actually, because the Luckfoot got really buffed. Luckfoot and Flash Isaac made it so that you always got PhD effect, basically. You always got good pill effects. So, and now it's like that again. Plus, not to mention in Repentance, the luck stat is just way better. There's a lot of really good luck-based items now. So like luck runs are actually something that we like to consider in a high-quality run. So I think that Cain is actually a lot better than he was in Afterbirth Plus. Before, he definitely would have been below Maggie. In fact, I think Cain was like a pretty bare bones character after Afterbirth Plus. But in Repentance, he's really freaking good, basically having PhD right at the start, which is a crazy good item. Plus, like I said, luck runs are a lot better now. He is still a little basic, and he does start with 2 health, so maybe I'll just put him above Maggie for now. But I might bring him up, depending on how this goes. We'll keep going. All right. Moving on, we have the Judas. Judas is awesome. Obviously, he's a glass cannon character, but he is definitely a character that you can go really, really far with. You don't need that many damage ups to have a successful run going. Maybe just get a few soul hearts, and then you're pretty good to go for most of the floors. So yeah, I think Judas is pretty high up here. By the way, I should mention while I'm in the middle of this list is not a list of my personal favorite characters. It is a list of, like, objectively, how good is that character? How easy is it to win a run with that character? So, like, you'll notice when I do the Lost, for example, the Lost is, like, my favorite character in the game. but objectively, we all know the Lost is a hard character, so he's going to go at the bottom of the list. Maybe not the full bottom, but we're going to get to where he is when we get to him. But yeah, it's more like an objective list, like how good is that character, not how much you like that character. But yeah, Judas, very successful character, Book of Belial, high damage stat right off the bat. If you just get one soul heart, then you're basically good for the first few floors. You don't really even need the health up. Plus, is a great Devil Deal character, because Book of Belial increases Devil Deal chances. Once again, though, we might change him in a little bit, but we'll see. Alright, Samson, why not? Samson is insane. If you know how to use Bloodlust to your advantage, I will always say this. Samson is the one character I think I could beat the entire game with without getting a single item. I literally do think that. Like, if I were to pick one character to just beat the whole game without any items, it would be Samson. Because the Bloodlust damage up is insane. It is endgame damage. You could literally beat Mega Satan with the damage at max Bloodlust. Now, albeit you need enough health and a good method of getting health back after damaging yourself. But I digress. Still insane damage output with only one item. An incredible item, too. Much higher than Judas's damage output by far, if you know what you're doing. So yeah, Samson is crazy. He's definitely not as good as Isaac, though, if we're talking about the full run. I mean, Isaac, you know, D6, you're changing the whole game with the D6, so, you know, pretty self-explanatory there. But yeah, S is not going to have too many characters, because it's hard to be on the same level as Isaac, for sure. But on that note, Azazel is one of them. Yeah, Azazel's broken. I get a lot of people telling me that me putting Azazel this high on the list is a skill issue or whatever. Once again, this is an objective list. Azazel is broken and we all know it. He starts with Flight. He starts with a mini Brimstone, which is still Brimstone, by the way. You know, one of the best Devil Deal items in the game. Obviously, it's low range, but still. If you're flying, you can fly straight through rocks or anything and just kill things instantly. He is an early game menace, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but if you're going random seed, he's the speedrun character, alright? Let's be honest. He is absolutely insane. Yeah, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Still not as good as Isaac, because late game, Azazel's actually not that good. Azazel is a really good enemy killer, but bosses, Azazel can have a little bit of trouble. What mainly comes to mind is, like, the Hush. It's hard because you have to dodge all of the Hush's tier blasts and get really close in order to do enough damage to him, which can be a pretty tough boss fight for a lot of tier-based fights when you want to have a lot of range, because it takes a ton of range to even, like, a ton of range ups to actually, you know, have a safe distance with Azazel. But even through all that, he's still insane. He is easily the best early game character. Like, as good as I was saying Judas is, Azazel is like 10 steps above Judas when it comes to early game. There also aren't that many characters that start with Flight, so that's also an incredible advantage. Plus, even just starting with the Fool card, like, that's a free curse room. You know? Like, right at the start of the run, you just get your curse room for free. Like, that's awesome. Just nice utility there. Because you could fly in, then use the Fool. Yeah, Azazel's pretty crazy. I think he definitely deserves to be up there with Isaac. Most Azazel runs are a win if you know what you're doing. And even beginners love Azazel, obviously. Let's get Blue Baby out. So Blue Baby is the first challenge character put into the game specifically as a challenge character in Flash Isaac. Starts with the poop. He can only have soul hearts. If your character can only have soul hearts, or if there's a health issue at all, they're automatically going to be lower than B in most scenarios. There's only one character I can think of off the top of my head that bypasses this issue. But yeah, Blue Baby, he's a soul heart character. He's the soul heart character. You cannot get red health with him, making devil deals significantly harder to go for. Thankfully, in Repentance, angel rooms are, like, better than devil deals now. So it's not as big of a deal, because you could just go for angel rooms anyway. But, you know, either way, you don't have as many options. Having only soul hearts as health is definitely a hindrance. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. The poop, with his little larva buff, is something. He just recently got a buff, but it's definitely not enough to bring him above C. Definitely not. But yeah, overall, he's just kind of mid. He's nothing special. He's just there, you know. Apollyon is definitely above Blue Baby, but I don't think he's better than Maggie. It's a tough one, right? Because the Void, if the Void was a lower charge item, or if it sucked up reusable items without actually using them, then I think Apollyon would be a lot better. I think that is the main issue with Apollyon for me, at least. He's just way too basic, because in most scenarios, if you're gonna suck up an item that like you don't want, it's usually gonna be a reusable item. Because reusable items, you know, if you already have a good reusable item, then you can just suck it up. And you usually still do that, but you don't get any stats for it. You just get to use it whenever you use the Void. Which is a shame, because the Void is a 6-room charge. But theoretically, you could get, like, Head of Krampus, I don't know, Tammy's Head, Guppy's Head, all these good reusable items in just one use, but the fact that it's 6-room charges mitigates a lot of the reusable items. Head of Krampus, Guppy's Head, Tammy's Head, they all have lower charges, making just having them even better than having just the Void, you know? And I think that that's what really holds it back. If it was like Tainted Apollyon, where he could suck up reusable items and get an advantage out of it, like if Void just gave you the stat buffs, just like it does for passive items, I do think he'd probably be at the top of B tier, honestly. Not even joking. Because it is a good effect, it's just, there aren't that many times when you're actually making use of it. I mean, sure, it's good to, like, you know, use it on a luck up or a range up or something, hope to get damage up. But at the end of the day, Apollyon's always just going to be a worse Isaac. And he just is. Maggie and Cain are a lot more consistent, especially Cain. I think there's an argument to say that Apollyon's better than Maggie, but I don't know. He's just a worse Isaac. I think it's more accurate to put him below Maggie here. But yeah, either way, I think he's below. All right. Eve. Let's get Eve. Eve early game is really, really strong. The Razor Blade buff was really good to her. I really like Eve, but I don't know if she's like high tier, you know? She's a great Devil Deal character, for sure. Good damage output. As long as you get to a Whore of Babylon state, you're stronger than Judas. But then again, Judas also has Book of Belial to go above it, so that's not really the case. I think it's fair to put it right here. I think that the extra strength and even the speed from Whore of Babylon is just, like, way too good. Like, better than PhD Luckfoot, I think. Once again, if you know what you're doing, you know how to abuse the Whore of Babylon, and use Devil Deals to your advantage, I think you're very, very good. Alright. Alright, Eden. I do not have a good opinion of Eden. At least base Eden. So, like I said, this is a skill-based list. And it's hard to rank Eden because of that, because obviously he's a randomized character. But I will say, you know, from personal experience, I think I can make an educated judgment that he's worse than Blue Baby. Because, what is it? His max stat output, I don't know. Is he really worse than Blue Baby? I mean, he could still get red health. He's not worse than Blue Baby. Come on now. I don't know. The thing with Eden is that he's just way too inconsistent. Shoutouts to people that do Eden streaks, because that's pretty tough. Eden streaks, you know, he's just not consistent, that's all. You get so many Eden runs where you're like, all right, I'm going to do an Eden run today, let's see what I get. And then you just get trash, you know? And if you start with a bad item, then you can't do anything with it. You just got to deal with it. Plus, he only starts with it. Like, Eden doesn't feel like a well-done randomized character. He just starts with 2 items, like just random items. And it's like, all right, whatever. like I said, it's starting to sound a little bit more opinionated, but either way, uh, let me put it this way. Um, the void to start with would be like probably what's it called? Okay, all the reusable items and effects that the characters above are like way better than the chance to get something really freaking good. You know, you're not gonna get Brimstone every run. You're not gonna get Sacred Heart every run. You know, it's a completely random item, and there's generally more, I guess, subpar items in the pool than there are really good items. So that's why I think that Eden is right here. He can still get red health though, so he's still better than Blue Baby. Lazarus. Lazarus actually got a huge buff. Oh my god. Shout out to Lazarus. Because Lazarus used to be like here, like right above Blue Baby, but now, okay, so the repentance buff that he just got is insane. Now, every single time that Lazarus dies, alright, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now Lazarus gets an extra life every single floor, and he still revives mid-boss fight like he did before, but every single floor his extra life refills, so you can just die every floor, which is amazing even just for getting free devil deals. Well, I say free, it's in quotation marks, but you know what I mean. If you play a lot of Isaac, you kill yourself, you get the item, you know, it's fine. You're at 1 heart, but it's no big deal. So you get free devil deals, basically. You're always going to have an extra hit for tough bosses early game. And above all of that, for every time that Lazarus dies, he gets a permanent damage up. That is broken. Absolutely broken. It's like Samson on crack. Because you get a free life every single floor. So every single floor, you get a damage up if you just kill yourself every floor. That is absolutely insane. Yeah, I think he's broken. I honestly do think that Laz is another S tier character now. Like, unironically. That is a damage up every floor, guaranteed. I mean, we talk about how Isaac changes the game around him. Lazarus just consistently gets damage ups. Just cuz. Like, that's insane. Even just having the extra hit every floor is, like, really good. The free devil deals. You know, you're basically lost that has health now. But yeah, it really is another level of broken. Shout out to Lazarus, real talk. I think he fully deserves this S tier placement. Because if you know what you're doing, then he's just a better Samson. He really is just a better Samson. Because it's just permanent. It's not like you have to damage yourself every floor. You kill yourself early game, you just get permanent damage ups. So yeah, super, super good character now. Like I said, before that buff, he was like here. Because he's just like the most lackluster character. But now he's here. Like, he's so insane. He's also good for resetters because you could always just reset your random pill. So, you know, if you like to reset runs over and over again, you just get a free, like, Balls of Steel or something. Free Pretty Fly. But yeah, even without that random pill, insane character now. They really did a great job buffing him. He's super fun. Alright, my girl Lilith. So, Lilith gets hardcore carried by Greed. Lilith is, full stop, the best Greed mode character. 100%. And yeah, Greed is only technically 2 achievements, but we'll just say it's 1. Greed is only 1 achievement at the end of the day. So, you know, it's not going to bring her like all the way up. But it's something we have to consider. So I think that alone is going to bring her above Apollyon. Plus, she has Cambion Conception, so she's always going to get more familiars as long as you know what you're doing with your health. Yeah, I think even in regular runs, I think Lilith has a lot of advantages over Apollyon. Having that guaranteed box of friends, early game, she is so strong against bosses. Just even in regular runs. By the way, for the Greed context, the reason why Lilith is the best Greed mode character is because if you stay in the same room as the Greed button, and you just keep doing waves, your box of friends is going to keep recharging, and you could just keep using it. And you could use it like 3 times every floor, and then you're at 4 incubuses. You basically have quad shot guaranteed every floor. It actually is crazy, I gotta say. Admittedly, you're only, unless you get some charge items in the greed run, super greed is still going to be an issue, but either way, it's like you basically do the waves for free with Lilith. It actually is crazy. Like, I'm saying this knowing that she's better than Isaac himself in greed, so, it's a big deal. I think without greed mode, she might be like here. I don't know. Maybe I should put her above Maggie then. That might be fair. I think that's fair. Yeah. I like that, actually. The damage output with Box of Friends on bosses and regular runs is still really strong anyway. You're getting 20/20 on all your familiars, so that's really, really strong. I think it's fair to say that she's above Maggie. Only because the greed mode is carrying her above. Obviously, when you're used to shooting a specific way, shooting with just your familiar can be a little bit, a little crazy. But overall, yeah, she's really good. All right, what is next? Let's get Forgotten out here. Yeah, the Forgotten. I have had a change of heart for the Forgotten. I used to put him like right here. But on replay, I think the Forgotten can go like here. At the end of the day, he has half a health bar. In a lot of scenarios, Forgotten is worse than Blue Baby. I still think he's C tier, actually. Maybe below Eden. Forgotten's fun. Forgotten is like, if we're doing a fun list, he's like top 5 most fun characters. But objectively, he has half a health bar. And a lot of his tier setups is going to favor one side of him more than the other. The Bone Forgotten is almost always going to be better early game, and the tier, or I guess I should say the soul part of the Forgotten, it's almost always going to be better for like bosses. More importantly, endgame bosses. And no matter what, you're going to have half the health no matter what your run is better for. Then eventually you're going to have to switch to the other character, and your run is most likely not going to favor both sides. So yeah, I think that it's fair to say that they're here. At the end of the day, Forgotten still carries early game compared to Blue Baby, who's just very lackluster early game and even late game. Whereas Forgotten, you have a lot of options, but still half the health bar, so, plus, you technically cannot have red health anyway on the Bone Forgotten. Sure, you can get Bone Hearts, but you can still lose those, and then, health ups only give you more Bone Hearts. Like I said earlier, if you have a health issue, you're automatically going to be at C tier, unless you're Tainted Beth, but we'll get there when we get there. Speaking of Beth, let's go to Bethany. Why not? Beth is pretty good. I think the thing with Beth is that to have a good run with Beth, you need to be a little bit lucky, but overall, she's pretty good, I'd say. I think she's just a worse Maggie, though. I think it's fair to say that. She's a worse Maggie. Because, like, you need a good reusable item to spawn, like, relatively early game to have a good run. Because the Book of Wisps, or whatever it's called, it gets carried by other reusable items, like, by far. There are definitely a lot of amazing synergies with it, and that's why she's even up here anyway. But yeah, you do need to be a little bit lucky. She's actually really fun in co-op. I know this isn't like it shouldn't even matter because this is this is a list for single player. But just as a side note, if you're playing co-op, she's a really good combo with the Keeper because if you can find a reusable item anywhere, you can just transfer the wooden penny to Bethany, and you just get like double the money. And it's a one-room charge to get coin wisps, and it's just super broken. But I digress. We're not talking about co-op. For a single-player run, she's just okay. Still better than Apollyon because the Book of Wisps is far better than the Void. Consistently. The Void is very situational. Whew. How about the Lost? So the Lost is like my favorite character in the game, so he should go here. But obviously, like I said earlier, this is an objective list. I think the Lost is D tier though. I don't think that the Lost is the worst character in the game. Holy Mantle is obviously something to consider. Starts with Spectral Tears, starts with Flight. By the way, I forgot to mention another reason why Forgotten's buff Blue Baby, besides having less health. It starts with Flight, basically. It gets a lot of early game payoffs. Anyway, back to the Lost. Yeah, I don't know. I love the Lost, so maybe that's part of the reason why I'm not putting in Garbo. But I just think that there's a lot of good advantage to the Lost. Obviously, the Lost can get free Devil Deals. The Holy Mantle is super useful early game. There aren't that many times early game where you get hit twice in one room anyway. So, you know, while yes, he takes one hit and dies, it's only really an issue for boss fights or like big rooms. Like, it doesn't really matter that much with the Holy Mantle. But yeah, I don't know. I've 100%ed Lost, so I can say without a doubt that obviously the Lost is one of the hardest characters in the game. Dies in one hit. But I don't know. There's a lot of advantages to him compared to the worse characters. But yeah, that's where the Lost is going to go. The Keeper. All right, so if you saw my awful quality tier list that's already on my YouTube channel, you'll know that I hate the Keeper. He will always be my least favorite character in the game, even in Repentance. They did give him a buff, though. I have to say, they gave him a buff. They gave him one extra coin heart. And that's basically all they did. While I think that they should still do way more with the Keeper, I do think he's way better. Plus, I think he gets yeah, I think also now Devil Deals cost money instead of hearts, which is very much needed for the Keeper. Trust me, because that was like one of the biggest issues. You basically could not take Devil Deals. In my previous list, I used to put Lost above Keeper because, like in Afterbirth Plus, the fact that you could not, it was almost never beneficial to take Devil Deals because you just die. You'd have one coin hit, and you don't get Holy Mantle like you do with the Lost. So one hit is actually one hit, and you start with low speed. It's just really awful. It really is. But now you have 3 coin hearts, and you know what? That is a big difference. Having that two hits before you're at one hit, like I know it sounds like it's nothing, but it's a big deal, especially in Isaac. It gives you way more chances to get coins off the wooden nickel before you just go splat. But yeah, he's a lot better now. But at the end of the day, I still think that it's awful that he just can't get health ups. Like, for what reason? You know, he's already effectively gonna have half health, just because of how the coin hearts work compared to regular hearts. So yeah, I don't know. I do still think he's an awfully designed character, but he's better than the Lost now. So congrats, you made him better. You made him barely better than the worst character in the game, or the hardest character in the game, I should say. He's not the worst. Well, now he's definitely not the hardest character in the game, because now we have the Tainted characters. But first, let's go to Jacob and Esau. Yeah, anybody who starts Repentance, we all know that we hate Jacob and Esau. They suck. And I hate this character too. But they do have legitimate advantages. I do think that they're better than Keeper. They technically do have a health issue, and that's why they're going below C tier. But above the health issue is the fact that if one of these two characters die, then the run's over. Jacob and Esau suck balls. You have to split all your items. But you don't have to. Usually the general strat with Jacob and Esau is to focus all your items on one of them, but then you basically have a sandbag that you're just carrying around the whole run. It actually is pretty awful. And it's not fun either. The one fun thing I think about Jacob and Esau is that when you place a bomb, it counts as 2, and you can split them up, and you can like check 2 different entrances for secret rooms. It's super useful in that way. You can get a tinted rock and also check a wall for a secret room using only 1 bomb. Utility-wise, that is super useful. Jacob and Esau is a great bomb character. Even for bosses, if you get some good bomb power-ups, super, super strong. Just basically using double bombs every time you use a bomb. Jacob and Esau is actually really good against the Beast for that reason, because the Beast is really weak to bombs because of how easy it is to hit the Beast with bombs. But yeah, overall, we all know that Jacob and Esau sucks. Carrying that dead weight with you. Now, a lot of people would actually put him below the Lost, but if you learn the strats with them, they're not as bad. Early game, they're actually not terrible, because they technically have, like, 20/20 if you just, connect them together. It's really late game where they really show how awful they are. But at least early game, you have that extra power. You're usually killing things very quickly. And above all that, I know a lot of people don't like to hear this, but you should always go alt path with Jacob and Esau. They are designed for the alt path, and I do legitimately think they were designed in a way that they are supposed to be able to take both the item pedestals in the alt path. In case you don't know, you go alt path, which is flooded caves, the mines, and the mausoleum. They always have 2 item pedestals, one of which being a random item, or a question mark item. Jacob and Esau was designed in a way where they can take both if you split them up and then you walk into the items at the same time. And then you get 2 items effectively, which is an advantage. It is not a disadvantage at that point that you have to split them items. Because generally, you're getting twice the amount of items. That's pretty freaking good. That definitely makes him better than the Keeper. At the end of the day, if you get lucky enough to get a ton of health ups, then you still have way more hits than the Keeper, as much more as you get hit with them because you have 2 hitboxes. Having, quadruple the health than the Keeper it still makes them definitely better. They have their own advantages, but overall they're a very weak character. Definitely worse than Blue Baby. I think we can all agree on that. Hey, we finally made it to the Tainted characters. So yeah, the Tainted characters are super fun. Definitely the most fun I've had playing Isaac was unlocking these and using them. But yeah, let's start with Tainted Isaac. So this one's a tough one. This can go either way. Tainted Isaac is either better than the Isaac or worse. I think I'm low-key leaning towards under Isaac. So for anybody who doesn't know, Tainted Isaac's item pedestals always rotate. No matter what item, no matter where, whether it's a Devil Deal, an Angel Room, shops, item room, it doesn't matter where the item is, it will always rotate between 2 different options. And as long as you walk into it at the item that you want, then you can choose whatever you want. Very, very, very strong character. But obviously there had to be a condition because that's way too good. He has a limited inventory. You can only have, I believe it's 8 items, and then you cannot hold any more. You have to swap them out, lose whatever stats you get from that item. Besides health ups. Health ups, you actually get to keep the health, that's really useful. I think that alone is what makes him up here. Honestly, if when he gave his health ups away, he lost a health, then I think he'd actually be like here, honestly. But the fact that you could just pick up health ups and keep the health from it and just rotate back in your other items, that is so good because it mitigates a lot of the item inventory issues. I think they probably should have done that if I'm being honest, because as it is now, he's so broken. Because it's just so easy to get broken runs when you have 2 options on every pedestal. Obviously, there's still the limited inventory, so there is that. But you're just getting so strong early game that you usually just sweep through the run anyway. I think the late game bosses can be a little tough just because you're not like overstacked with items. But generally, you have good enough items like to still body it. I think Isaac can still get a little bit more broken overall, just because obviously you can have, you know, more items. But I can definitely see it going either way. You know, comment in the comments if you think otherwise. But I think that this is what I'm going to stick with. All right. Let's go to Tainted Mag. So Tainted Mag's pretty interesting. I think she is, once again, very fun. All the Tainted characters are super fun, but I think she's really good early game, but she is awful against bosses. She really is. She is just terrible. She's also, like, okay at getting devil deals, but you usually don't want to get devil deals because health ups are so necessary for this character. For anybody who doesn't know, you lose health over time. However, every time you kill an enemy, they drop a half heart. Or every time you hug an enemy, they drop a half heart. And when you kill them with your tears, you get like a 50-50 half heart. 50-50 chance of it spawning. But overall, her health is still like basically still worse than soul hearts. Soul hearts also disintegrate with the timer, which is just awful. Yeah, no. She's pretty bad overall, but she's very fun. She's probably like right here, I think. Yeah, I think that's fair. She is awful against like long boss fights like the Hush. She's still pretty good for like the Lamb and stuff like that, because usually if you have a good hug setup, you can just keep hugging them, and it just does so much damage. You usually kill them before it matters, as long as you have enough health. But yeah, for long boss fights like the Hush, you're usually gonna lose all your health. Like even if you don't get hit like at all the whole Hush fight, and you have a full bar of health, if you don't have enough damage, you're just going to lose all your health over time, and then you'll just be at 2 hits, no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it, you know? Unless you get, like, if you weren't lucky enough to get enough damage ups, then, you know, you're just always going to be at, like, 2 health for that fight at the end. Which, you know, that's a big disadvantage. So, yeah, she's probably around here. Obviously, the hug strats is so good early game, so... And overall, she's just broken for rooms. It really is just bosses that bring her so low. So we're going to put her above Eden. Tainted Cain. So Tainted Cain is... It depends on how you rank him. Right? If you're using a guide to create whatever items you want, then he's the best character in the game. I am not going to rank him like that because it's my list and I can do whatever the frick I want. I am going to rank him that it's random, right? You don't know the item recipes. It's just you get random items. But obviously, you know, you could infer, you know, you bag of crafting a soul heart, you know, it's a rare item, so you get a better item. By that logic, I think that Tainted Cain is probably like here, something like that. He's definitely strong, even with random crafting pools. Plus, listen, if you play Tainted Cain with a guide and just look up every recipe and just get freaking birthright every run, screw you. Okay, I don't mean it, but it's just, it's so unfun to me. Like, I've done it, and the runs just take like 2 hours, you know, like, it's just not fun. It really isn't. Because objectively, he's like the best character in the game if you do that. But with the random crafting recipes, I think he's right here. Still really powerful because, you know, you can manipulate pickups to get specific pickups, suck them up. And even just getting, like, sucking up all the trash items, you usually get enough stat items to make you pretty OP early game. So yeah, he's super good. Who's next? Let's get Tainted Azazel out the way. Surprisingly, Tainted Azazel is not as good as Base Azazel. I actually thought when he came out he'd be like way better, but the fact he doesn't have flight, his beam is actually a lot weaker than regular Azazel's beam. Obviously, it's full range brim, which is nice, but it's not as strong. So being able to fly up on enemies and use the short range beam is usually a lot more effective than blasting 3 small beams, like from afar. Plus, just not having flight is such a disadvantage. The cough is a thing that he has, the brim cough, which does like, I think it's like 3 or 4 times the damage of the mini brim, which is nice and has a lot of knockback to it, which is decent for some bosses. But overall, you're almost always going to be using the beam. It's way more effective, way safer. Yeah, the cough is generally just not worth it. So I think still having a full range beam is nice, but I don't know, man. Probably here. Yeah, because I think Cain is just better. You know, like late game, Tainted Azazel really struggles because his beam is just so weak. And yeah, the cough is strong, but like when you have to get like way closer than even regular Azazel without flight, that is not easy, dude. It really is not. So yeah, Tainted Azazel, at least you have infinite range, which is something, but the damage output is abysmal. So we're gonna put him right here. Honestly, nah, we'll put him above. Let's do Tainted Eve. So Tainted Eve, if anybody knows me on Twitch, they'll know this is my favorite character of the game. Well, besides like Lost, but and I'm not gonna try to show bias, but I think she's the best character in the game. 100%. Tainted Eve had to be nerfed so much, and I still think she's the most broken character in the game. So in base repentance, Tainted Eve, if you keep shooting, then you can, or I guess I should say if you hold down the shoot button, you can form a blood clot. And these blood clots, I think they have half your damage, but you can do as many clots as you want, and it's for each half a heart. It's not even a full heart. For each half a heart, you get 1 clot. So you use 1 heart, you get the same damage. You basically have Incubus just right off the bat. First floor, you have Incubus. And, you know, you can imagine, opposite of Eve, Tainted Eve is a health-based character rather than Eve being a soul heart character. If you get a lot of red health as Tainted Eve, you're absolutely just done. You don't even need damage up. This is the one character of the game I could legitimately say I could beat without a single damage up. 100%. Like, she's just that broken. All of those clots, they carry so much. Now, she got nerfed to where the clots... See, because in regular, each clot had, like, I want to say, like, 4 health. So each clot could take 4 hits before they died, which is insane, because you basically have a shield around you. So you're basically never getting hit. The clots take way too many hits to die as long as you know what you're doing. And you could just keep on creating more every single time a heart spawns. It's so broken. It really, really is. And then they nerfed it so that the longer they stay out, the less health they have over time. But they never die until they get hit, either way. So eventually they get down to 1 health, right? Each clot. But that is still 1 hit per clot. In almost every single Tainted Eve run... Okay, I should mention this, by the way. I have yet to ever lose a Tainted Eve run. I have never once lost a Tainted Eve run. And I'm not saying that as like, oh, I'm so good. I'm saying that Tainted Eve is broken. It doesn't matter how unlucky you are, you will always win a Tainted Eve run if you know what you're doing. Literally. She also gets a free mom's knife if you want to run her that way. But I don't even run her that way. Because I think the clots are absolutely broken. Like, I don't see any reason to go for the free mom's knife. Because the clots are just that broken. But it's an option. You have that too. Just because why not? The clots themselves are just so insane. Even at 1 health for each clot, you're just doing so much damage. They have a ton of knockback. Hell, the one familiar trinket, I forget what it's called, but like it's the trinket with the music note on it that doubles the fire rate of all your familiars. The clots count as familiars. So it works with that. It doubles their fire rate. I don't even know what to say. It's so broken. They follow all your tier effects. So if you get punch tiers, you're like always shooting knockback tiers. I don't know, man. To me, it's so obvious that Tainted Eve is the new best character of the game. And honestly, I think she's a lot better than Isaac. I would create another tier for her, but it would actually be off and it wouldn't look good in the recording. But still, like, it is not even fair. I'm not even, like, capping when I say this. If you know what you're doing with all the health and you just keep creating clots, you always win. Honestly, I think I could even make an argument to say that I could beat a whole run without any any pedestal items. I would need to be a little lucky with like heart drops, but if I keep getting heart pickups, then yeah, I absolutely think I could beat a whole run without picking a single item up. That's how broken she is. But yeah, the new best character of the game is Tainted Eve. But let's move on. Let's see. Yeah, let's just do Tainted Blue Baby. Tainted Blue Baby is in my top 5 favorite characters of this game. It's significantly better than regular Blue Baby. I think we all know that. The nerf of this Tainted version is that you don't have bombs, but the counter to that is that you also low-key have infinite bombs because he gets poop bomb power-ups from his poop effects. He's a very creative character. He's very, very fun. It almost feels like you're playing like Zelda. Like, you're using, like, items and stuff like that. Like, it's super, super interesting. And it's fun. Some of the crap that you can do with his poop abilities are absolutely broken for bosses. I think against regular enemies, he's just okay. But bosses, he's broken. I literally do think he's broken. But at the end of the day, he's still a soul heart character. He cannot get red health. So I think I'm going to put him here, which is don't sleep on this placement. For a character who cannot get red health, this placement is insane. That is super good for a character that cannot get red health. Devil Deals are still basically, they're never worth it. You're still almost always going for angel rooms. But the fact that you could just destroy certain bosses with him, completely just broken. Plus, the holy poops, oh my god. If you get a holy poop and you place that on a boss, you're just winning. You just stand in the holy poop and you just keep shooting. You just shred bosses. It's insane. But yeah, Tainted Blueberry is very good. You know what? I think he's better than Tainted Mag because Tainted Mag is just really... Oh wait, no, this is regular Mag. I'm stupid. Yeah, never mind. He's not better than regular Mag. All right. But yeah, that's a really good placement for a no red health character. Apollyon. Yeah, Tainted Apollyon is Apollyon done right. For every item pedestal that he sucks up, he gets a red attack fly. And he gets some special attack flies, but we're not really going to count those because they're just so rare. There are not that many of them. So let's just talk about, assume he's basically always getting the red flies. The red attack flies, they're very strong. I believe that they're twice or 3 times his damage each. Which, after sucking up enough items, that is a lot of extra DPS. Another big thing to realize, even if you're not counting the fact that he can suck up pedestal items, whereas regular Apollyon cannot, it's important to note that basically every item you suck up is a damage up, theoretically. Because it's always extra DPS. It's absolutely crazy how much Tainted Apollyon is better than regular Apollyon. Almost to a point that I think he might be better than Maggie. And Lilith, even. Yeah, I think that's fair. He's really strong, even. And just keep going. I mean, you could suck up all the bad items. Yeah, I think he's, like, here. Hell, he might be here. You just get too many items with Tainted Cain, though. I don't think it's fair to put him above that. Yeah, I think that's about right. Tainted Apollyon is crazy. Almost every run I have with him is just, like, really successful. Because, once again, still a worse Isaac. But it's Apollyon done right, to say the least. You get a bad item, you turn it into a consistent, DPS up, which is just amazing. Yeah, you couldn't really ask for anything else. You get a consistent DPS up. It's not like you're hoping for luck with Apollyon and you keep getting like range ups or luck ups or whatever. With Tainted Apollyon, you're always getting a DPS up. So, plus not to mention he has like one of the best birthrights of the entire game. It makes it like if you get birthright with him, it makes it so that every single attack fly always holds on the boss. Completely busted. I melted the hush way faster in a birthright Apollyon run than I have in any run before. No joke, I'm pretty sure I beat that hush fight in 10 seconds. It wasn't even right. Nobody should be able to beat the hush in 10 seconds. I didn't even have that good of a run. It was just birthright that was carrying. All right. Let's see. Not to mention you could focus on dodging while the flies are just on him. Completely broken. Let's go to Tainted Eden. So Tainted Eden is super fun. I don't even know what to say about Tainted Eden. Well, yeah, I do. Tainted Eden is Eden done right. I love Tainted Eden. Another one of my top 5 favorite characters of the game. A lot of people think that he is, like, down here. The fact that he's always randomizing his health and, what is it? You know, a lot of people say he's a very luck-based character. And while yes, obviously there's luck involved. Every time you get hit, you randomize your entire item pool. But there is so much strategy to this character. I think he is the most skill-required character in the entire game. Well, besides the Lost. That's not fair. The Lost takes one hit and he's dead. Obviously, the Lost is the most skill-based character. But Tainted Eden is a close second. You need to know how item pools work. It's a different type of skill. If you are smart, you're going to win this Tainted Eden run. You need to pick up all the right item pools, and you need to know whenever you get hit, you get a completely different run. So you need to be able to adapt to every single time you get hit, because it's completely different. You look at your little item bar on the right, and you go, okay, I have this, this, and this. Let me make use of this to do this. I think that he's one of the most fun, one of the most skill-based characters of the game. He can still get red health. And not to mention he got buffed, because now his health ups do not get randomized. Well, they do, but what is it? His base health stats do not get randomized, which is incredibly important. So I think it's easy to say that if you know what you're doing, I think Tainted Eden, I'd still say they're hard, but they're, like, if you know what you're doing, they're pretty good. But they're still hard. I think right here. I think that's fair. I have a lot of good things to say about Tainted Eden, but only because of personal preference. At the end of the day, it is still difficult. The moment you get hit, you have to know exactly what you're doing. It is a very skill-required character, but they are also a very gratifying character. They are not a luck-based character. That's what I'm trying to get across with this. In fact, they are one of the most skill-based characters. The second most skill-based character. Like, I don't even know what to say about him. It really is insane. Shoutouts to Tainted Eden. They did this character so much better than regular Eden. Obviously Eden might be a little bit more consistent, but you can really abuse the game with Tainted Eden. You can get really busted runs really, really fast. Alright. Let's see. Let's do Tainted Forgotten. Tainted Forgotten's fun. God, I feel like I say that for every Tainted characters. They are a soul heart character, unfortunately. I think that they're definitely worse than regular Forgotten. I think that's fair. While, yes, you're doing a lot of damage with each hit, you know, it is hard to attack with them, for sure. There are a few items that completely break this character, like Gnawed Leaf. It's not even fair. If you have Gnawed Leaf in any orbital, you just win, because you can just run into enemies and you're invincible the whole time. But I digress. They're still very difficult. Having to achieve the Forgotten Bones each time to attack is really tough. I'm thinking like right here. Probably. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're very fun, but they are still a Soul Heart character. And they're honestly, they have a lot of items that don't even do anything for them, which is always going to be a big disadvantage if a character cannot make use of a lot of items. Yeah, I don't know. Once again, they're very fun, but honestly, one of the, like, most of my achievements for Tainted Forgotten are when I get Birthright. And Birthright with Tainted Forgotten is amazing. You get an ability to recall your bones right to you instead of having to chase it back down every single time you attack. That makes the Tainted Forgotten... If Tainted Forgotten started with recall every run, I legitimately think they'd be, like, here. Because they start with Flight, and... Well, maybe not here. Maybe, like, right here. Because they start with Flight at the end of the day. Sure, they're a Soul Heart character, but you're doing a lot of damage, and you're very safe, too, with recall. But I think as it is right now, I don't know, though. The double hitbox of Jacob and Esau is really bad. I think this could go either way. Tell me in the comments what y'all think. I think I'm going to stick with this, just because Jacob and Esau can get double items on the alt path. And meanwhile, Tainted Forgotten can't even make use of half the items. So yeah, I think that's probably about right. Ooh, let's wait on that for a bit. Tainted Samson. Tainted Samson's fun. Definitely not nearly as good as regular Samson. Not even close, actually. But I think that the Berserk is still pretty good for him. It's a good early game killer. But overall, it's still low-key basic. Like, it's not going to change the entire game, you know? It's not like Bloodlust where you just win. I think that he's probably about here. I still think that his damage output is way better than his Azazel, so I think it's fair to put him above. But yeah, I think that that's pretty safe to say. You're definitely being carried by Berserk is the big thing. Tainted Laz. Tainted Laz sucks. Oh my god, this character is bad. Like, they are very bad. They got buffed, thankfully, like, on first Repentance release. Oh my god. They were so bad. Now you have 2 items that flip. So at least you low-key get a Tainted Isaac effect where you have 2 options for each pedestal item, which is nice, but it's basically a worse Jacob and Esau. No matter what, they're going below Jacob and Esau. I'll say that right away. Yes, you don't have 2 hitboxes, but unlike Jacob and Esau, you are literally forced to split items between Lazarus and Tainted Lazarus. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. Lazarus, Tainted Laz, and Dead Tainted Laz. Sure, Dead Tainted Laz has the strongest, like, base damage of the game, but it doesn't even matter. Because you are splitting half of your items in the middle. You're running 2 runs with half the items for each. With Jacob and Esau, at least you can just overpower one of the characters. You cannot do that with Laz. They are abysmal characters. They're definitely worse than Tainted Forgotten. I can say that for sure. Honestly? God, they're very bad. I mean, yeah, the extra item is nice, but... Like, the extra item option is nice, but... At the end of the day, it's still half the items. It's a very bad character. I think they might go, like, here. Honestly. Are they worse than Lost? I think the extra item might save them from lost tier. Bad. I don't know, man. Are they really worse than Keeper, though? Because Keeper can only have 3 health. Yeah, I mean, if you get lucky enough with health ups, you know. Because the thing is, with Keeper, like, you can't rely that much on luck to win a Keeper run. It's very, very skill-based. With Tainted Laz, you can definitely rely on luck. You could definitely get lucky, especially with the extra options. I guess that's fair. Plus, I actually mentioned this before. The one advantage I will give this character, besides the extra item, obviously, is that if you are, like, insane with your health for that run, like, you get a lot of soul hearts, you get a lot of health ups, then technically, you can have double the health than any character on this list. Because if you go into, like, the Hush, let's say, you lose an entire health bar with regular Tainted Laz, you're at 1 heart, then you flip to Dead Tainted Laz, and then that Tainted Laz also has full health, you technically have 40 hearts. Is that right? That's not 40. How many hearts can you have? I've been playing too much Lost. I don't even remember how much health a character can have. Is it like 10 or is it 8? I think it's 10. Wait, is it 12? Am I tripping? Either way, you get double the health, basically. So, or almost double the health. So they have that going for them. Whereas Keeper and Lost obviously have serious health issues. But overall, you're going to be losing a lot more health than you would with, like, Tainted Forgotten. So that's why, even though they can get red health, it's, like, way worse, because you're taking way more hits, because you're just so underpowered. Yeah, that character sucks. Let's move on to Tainted Judas. Tainted Judas is fun. But they are still a Soul Heart character. They're obviously better than Blue Baby. They're just a better version of Blue Baby, basically. Dark Arts, it got really nerfed. You get a damage up for every tier/enemy you go through while using it, but it doesn't last that long. The damage up, that is, and it's not that much of a game changer, honestly. A lot of the other even basic characters items, like I would consider Horror Babylon way better than Dark Arts, 100%. Just a consistent damage and speed up, yeah, absolutely. But it's still nice, and it has good utility. I think, honestly, the best utility about it is that Dark Judas has free Devil Deal. Not free Devil Deals, free Cursed Rooms. So you could just Dark Arts right through the Cursed Room doors, which is very nice utility. So I think, by that logic, they're not better than Tainted Blue Baby. Tainted Blue Baby is just way too crazy against bosses. I think it's fair to put him here. But he can't get red health. Worse than Bethany. Probably worse than Apollyon. I'll put him right here. Yeah, I think that's fair. I would still definitely rather have Soul Hearts than a fleeting red health bar. Like during a boss fight. There's a lot of, like, tier boss fights, like the Hush. Tainted Judas destroys, dude. Like, you just go through all those tiers and you have, like, times 10 the damage. Sure, it's, like, a short amount of time, but still, like, that's gonna melt bosses really quick. So, yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Very fun character, though, for sure. They're just not, consistent, I feel like. Tainted Lilith is fun. All these freaking Tainted characters are fun. Goddamn. I mean, she's really good early game, but she's a little, like, inconsistent, I think, against bosses. She's very strong, though. I think it's fair to put her up here. She's like a worse Azazel. She just murks everything. She's very slow, though. She's actually slower than regular Maggie. But I think it's fair to put her here. She has a really strong damage output. She has great knockback even against bosses. Yeah, I don't know. I've always won runs whenever I play as her, so... You know, she's pretty consistent, I think. Even though I just said she was inconsistent. Alright, so I talked about Tainted Bethany earlier. Tainted Bethany is the only soul heart character of the game that I think is broken. Like, literally broken. I think... God, this is a tough one. I mean, she's still a soul heart character. And honestly, in certain scenarios, you could just lose the entire run if you make one mistake. So I think she probably goes here. She's definitely going in S tier, though. Tainted Bethany is insane. Only because Lemegeton is insane. I think Lemegeton is the best book of the entire game. As long as you know what you're doing, like, you can get so many broken items. If you focus on getting a planetarium, and you could just keep using Lemegeton in that planetarium and getting all the planetarium items. You get super good items. You could use it in Devil Deals to get free Devil Deals. You could use it in your Angel Room, get free Angel Room items. The fact that it's based on the current room that you use it in, insane. You can just get such good items. It really is impressive. Now, albeit the caveat to it, obviously you're a Soul Heart character, but you get so much protection from your items too, you're barely ever getting hit. Yeah, I don't know. It's absolutely insane. I will do that, Gamaf. In fact, I'll do that right after this, but hold on. This is for a YouTube video. Alright. Yeah, almost there. Let's start with... Oh, this is a tough one. What do I want to stop with? Let's start with Tainted Keeper. Tainted Keeper... Nice. Hello, YouTube. Nice. God damn. This is hard. Is Tainted Keeper better or worse than Base Keeper? That's the main question. Well, I think the main issue with it is that... Hold on, I gotta turn on my music again. I think the main issue with him is that they buffed regular Keeper's health just to give Tainted Keeper 2 health. Like, I don't know. It's just... It rubs me the wrong way. But at the end of the day, he's so much fun. And he gets so much health. Not health. He gets so much money. All of his items you have to buy, though. But goddamn, does he have powerful shops. I think he's better overall. You're just going to end up being so OP that it's going to overtake the extra health that regular Keeper gets. Overall, most runs are pretty OP, but yet he's still this low because he only has 2 hits. His health situation is technically worse than Base Lost, so that's something that you really have to consider. But you're always getting, you know, better runs because of the better shops. You're getting so much money. Yeah, I think it's pretty safe to say that he's better than regular Keeper, but not by much, just because health is very important in Isaac. All right, and yeah, I had to create an extra Garbo tier just for these two. Spoiler alert, these are both going here. So when I made a Repentance tier list before, I originally put I originally put Tainted Jacob as the worst character in the game. Just because at least Tainted Lost gets the better items and flight. But yeah, anyway, basically the gimmick for Tainted Jacob is that whenever Esau hits you, you turn into the Lost with no mantle, which is insane. But even more insane, and this is what made him completely impossible, it made him the worst character in the game, literally, was the fact that you could not become OP with Tainted Jacob. Because if you became too OP, you would always kill Esau. And when you kill Esau, it automatically turns you into the Lost. Which is ridiculous. Now, you are not able to kill Esau. It is impossible to kill Esau. And that is such a needed buff. It is actually insane how much that changed Tainted Jacob runs. Now you can become as OP as any other character, as long as you focus on dodging him, which is still hard, and you can still always just get hit by him, and then, you know, you get hit once and then you just lose, no matter how good your run is. But at least you can still become broken now and shred bosses before you turn into the Lost. So he's not the worst character in the game anymore, but he's still awful. Getting no mantle Lost is just insane. You gotta worry about Esau the whole run. At least early game, he's still pretty strong because you can just lead Esau into the bosses. Late game, it doesn't really do much anyway. And then finally, Tainted Lost. Once again, a very fun character, but having Lost with no mantle is tough, to say the least. That is very, very tough. Yeah, I don't even know. It's just hard. Yeah, you get extra damage from Tainted Lost because of his better items. Yo, what up? Mumios999. But yeah, you're just... It's just too hard, I think. The better items definitely helps, but you still do end up getting very unlucky at some point. Yeah, and you get a damage multiplier for every damage up you get, which is also very, very nice. But it's just, I don't know, no matter what advantages that Tainted Lost gets, he is still the hardest character in the game. Is he fun? Yes. I think he's up here in terms of how much I like him. But he is just way too hard, I think. The fact that you can't even get Holy Mantle or any extra life items, that's insane. They got rid of every single extra life item. He is just the glass cannon of the game. Which is fun. But it's just too hard for me to rank otherwise. And hey, at least Tainted Jacob was better than this character that, you know, that friggin', you know, is obviously meant to be the hardest character in the game. But they really did buff Jacob, so shout outs to that. And yeah, I think that'll be it for the tier list. Yeah, Mumias, I just finished ranking all the characters based on how good they are rather than how much I actually like them. Like, this is, like, most definitively, like, but to end off the video, Tainted Eve is the best character in Binding of Isaac. I think that if you know how good Tainted Eve is, you know she's the best character in the game. If you understand it, you just understand it. You get it, alright? It used to be, like, definitive. Isaac was the best character in the game, but now, to me, Eve is so much better than Isaac. Yeah, Mumios, you see, Mumios agrees too. Random chatter came in. Like, I'm sorry, if you don't think Tainted Eve is at least an S tier, if you don't think she's even an S tier, you don't understand. You just don't understand. But yeah, I think this list is pretty good. I think we can definitely make an argument to do this, or even this. But, maybe that's about right. Although, I don't know. These characters, I think if I'm being, like, super objective, I'd probably do this. And we could do, like, bad. And we could just do, like, this. Nah, they can still get health. All the characters that cannot gain health, I think it's fair to put them in their own tiers, because it really does make them an extra level of bad. But yeah. Tainted Keeper at least a C? You really think so? I mean, I love Tainted Keeper, don't get me wrong. But having 2 health no matter what, that is tough. And Tainted Keeper's really good against enemies, but it is not the case against bosses. I'm sorry. Like, maybe the only exception is, like, Hush, just because it spawns a lot of enemies you get coins out of. But you definitely need to have some certain setups to, you know, have a good amount of health for the harder bosses. But yeah, I think that's going to be the YouTube video. So I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I hope that y'all like this. Anybody who saw the original Afterbirth Plus tier list way back in the day, I'm sorry it turns out so bad. But hopefully this list is a lot more definitive, a lot more educated, now that I'm Isaac Lord 69. For me, Jacob and Esau, I'll give straight S, because the fact I look like I play co-op and have friends. True! True! Nah, Jacob and Esau suck. But yeah, thank y'all so very much for coming. It was a pleasure. Have a great night. And yeah, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like. If you dislike this video, make sure you leave a dislike, because I like opinions. Subscribe now to become a later man and later rest today, and I hope they enjoy the rest of the content that I produce. My name is everybody. Later manners. I haven't done that outro in so long. Oh my god.